Welcome to the spagirlspodcast, the self-publishing podcast for authors. You're in the right place for the best writing, marketing, and publishing advice, plus interviews with industry experts and best-selling authors. I'm Cheryl Phipps.
I'm Shar Barrett.
I'm Wendy Vella.
And I'm Trudi J. Welcome. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Hello. We decided to do an at-home roundtable, pick our brains, what's going on, what we're thinking about podcasts today. Were you just going to hear a
It's
little bit
always
about...
a little scary picking our brains,
But so much has been happening, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
For everybody.
So
But
much.
in the spa, wow, it's been all go.
Yeah.
It has.
So we're going to talk about that. Like that, if that's our first kind of conversational
Mhm.
topic, is what we've all been doing for
Mhm.
2025 thus far. So we're kind of
Yeah.
here in a March-ish, depending on when this goes up.
Yeah.
And
Much-ish.
March-ish, so it's kind of 3 months-ish almost.
Yeah,
So
That's a
Mhm.
good
First
word.
First quarter of the
Much-ish.
year, eh?
first
Yeah.
quarter of
Yeah.
the year. Isn't that amazing? Hasn't
Yeah.
it just gone fast?
How?
I know. So it's crazy. So Cheryl, I vote you start with what you've been
I do
doing.
too. I voted for that.
Yeah. I
Thanks.
think we all
Thanks
voted.
so much.
We all
Everyone.
did. We all voted
Yeah.
for that.
So, to be honest with you, I do not know exactly where to start. So, I'm just going to start with the biggest thing that has happened to me. Well, maybe not the biggest thing, but certainly a huge thing is that I got approached last year, and I don't know if I had mentioned it at all on the podcast. I don't think so, but I got approached by a company called Vinci Books, who are a UK company, a publisher, and they asked for my books. And so, initially when you get an email like that from somebody that you know, not personally, but through podcasts and that, you're kind of like, oh, this is a scam or whatever. Anyway, I didn't do anything, as is my wont, for a month. And they got back to me and they really did want them, and it really was kosher. And so I spoke to other authors. I delved into it, which I fully say we should all do. And I decided that my health being the way it was, that it wouldn't be a bad idea to go with a publisher. Now, that said, I make most of my money. I don't think I've been shy about saying this from my Cozy Mysteries. So I did a test. I'm doing a test. I'm in the middle of a test. I said to them, you can have my romance books, which arguably aren't doing fantastically, and let's see how you go. And they took them. So that didn't
Yay.
happen overnight. It's taken many, many months. I think it all started, I think from the first email was about September, maybe. So they've only had them now for just a couple of weeks. So nothing much has happened in that camp. But they're going to be recovering, doing new blurbs and all that sort of thing. And meanwhile, I've still got my cozies. So I feel very safe, and I feel like I don't feel like I've given it away. I feel like I've given myself room to breathe and room to take care of myself and to live a better life, really. So is that enough for you now? Or do you
That's awesome. And it
Yeah.
also means that
Yeah.
you can sort of then direct your focus when you have the time and the inclination onto your
Yes,
cozies rather than
Yeah.
trying to
yes,
split it
yes.
across.
Some days I don't have all the hours that I used to have to be a prolific writer or to get everything sorted in the marketing and all that sort of thing. So it's been huge. And I will just say that because not because of Wendy, but via Wendy, I got in touch with Maggie Ma, who we've had on the podcast,
Yep.
and she did all the lawyering for me. So I felt very safe and not taken advantage of that. I mean, they're very strict with what they will or won't give you. But yeah, I mean, when you're not earning a lot from something, then 50% of that isn't such a cut, if you know what I mean. If they're
Yeah.
going to do all the marketing and all that sort of thing, that's quite huge for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd be exciting to see how that goes. And
Yeah, it will be.
Watch
It'll
the
be
space.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. And so so in terms of your books that you're working on personally, what have you been working on? Like your cozies?
So I've been working on starting a new series, which the first book came out in January, and adding to another series. And both those are my paranormal cozies because they're doing exceptionally well at the minute. I haven't lost sight of the others, and of course I will have to throw in a romance from time to time. But those two, the new series that I've started, I'm really enjoying. Although why I thought to write it in first person present tense, got no idea. But yeah, so the cozy mysteries at the moment, where it's at, paranormal in particular.
Nice. That's
Mm.
awesome.
Writing, changing point of view like that, and also tense. It's
Yes.
funny how your brain has to
Yes.
rewire,
The big
particularly for those of
adjustment.
us that have been reading third person for a
I've
long time.
already
Yeah.
decided that I will get 3 books up this year in that series. I'm writing the second book now. But I had a deadline for the book 5 in the other paranormal cozy mystery series, so I had to stop, which was really annoying. But I've already decided that if the series doesn't take off hugely, I will not be writing any more in it because honestly, it's very
hard.
taxing for this old brain.
Yeah. It's funny because I accidentally did the same thing when I went from one series
Yeah.
to the next early on, and then I had to kind of stick with it. And now I just tried to go back and write in third
Yeah.
person, and I can't do it anymore. Like
Oh
it's
wow. Well, don't
really
say
hard.
that.
Like it's kind of but I wrote like 10 books first
Yeah.
person present tense, and because like once I
Yeah.
started, I felt like I couldn't stop, and then
Yeah.
and
No,
then I
I can
decided,
say
right, I'm
I'm
going to
never
write.
going to do that.
Yeah,
I think
first
it's the
person post.
switching. I don't know how authors switch, like write one book in first person or one, even just present and
hard.
then past. I cannot tell you how many times I had a Google search up on what the difference was, and just to remind myself as I was going.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
funny
I
thing is
like
that
first person books, don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I've never written one.
I
Yeah.
never used to, but
I did have
there's some genres that definitely lend themselves and that are
Yeah.
more
And I think there
that is
are
the
a lot
way.
of cozy mysteries, and that's why I went down the road because I thought, oh, that looks quite cool. I'll give that a crack. But
it's actually something that's changed over time because I remember when I
yes.
first started
Yeah.
writing it's the Dragon series, and I accidentally wrote the first book. I don't even know why. I was trying to write it a first person, and I
Yeah.
accidentally when it made it present tense as well. Like it
Yes.
was
Yeah.
and it was not common at that time. Like it was
No,
maybe like
it
the
never used
dark
to be,
romance
eh?
kind of. And
Yeah.
then but now it is
Yeah.
everywhere, and it is a
Yeah.
lot more common because it does make you closer to the protagonist. Like
Mhm.
when you're reading it, you really notice that you're right in there. And when I switched to third person, I felt like I could almost feel myself taking a step back from them. Like it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
but it's there were a lot of readers back in the day, and I don't know what it's like now, but a lot of them hated that present tense.
Yeah.
Like they would
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. It's interesting. So funny. So funny that you're doing that. Anyway, and that's you mainly. That's the two things you've been working on that we
Yeah,
main
a bit of
things.
streamlining, but we can talk about
Yeah.
that later, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So who wants to go next? Shar?
I'll go next.
Shar.
I'll keep it upbeat. So I've had a lot of life stuff going on this year, in terms of family assistance required that required a lot of emotional and physical and mental and everything else support from myself. And anybody with aging parents will immediately know what I'm talking about. So that has just completely I don't want to use the word derailed because that's not fair, but it has very much put a spanner in my carefully laid Q1 plans, let's put it that way. However, I am really proud of myself so I have been writing novella length insta love monster paranormal romance, and I have in Q1 I've managed to finish 2. Now they're not published yet because, as we all know, it takes a whole another lot of work, and I do the covers myself, but that's okay. But it's just
Because she's a professional, just
because
to
I'm a
Yes,
FYI.
yes, she's
professional.
good at it.
It's not like she's not going to knock them up in Word or anything.
However, even though I can do the covers myself and I know all the keywords and the blue writing, all the rest of it, all of that stuff is, as we all know, just as much work as actually producing the words. So I stuck to producing the words, and I've now got 2 books in the hopper ready to publish I'm really hoping I will get them up by the end of March, but it'll be more likely the beginning of April. But it's a good feeling. So yeah.
How many is that in total now?
So that will be 7 in the series. And plus I also wrote a couple of days ago a bonus kind of end of epilogue, sort of like about 7,000 words, which I'm calling book 8. It's not a book. But I'm closing out that particular series there, and then I'm going to be starting a new one. I just feel like 7 is my lucky number.
Yeah.
And
Odd number,
and to
but
be honest,
hey,
I've run out of
reasons are
this
your
particular
reasons.
type of monster. There's only so many, so I can't. And I mean, it's just a tiny fraction of what Wendy had to do with her one of her large series, like the final book, to try and bring everybody in. But honestly, it was like a nightmare situation where you're planning a wedding reception. You've got all the tables of, the names, and you're trying to get Uncle
Yeah.
Billy with so-and-so, and they don't get on. And it was sort of just trying to bring these 7 couples into a cohesive story that was still a romance. Oh my goodness, that was tough. So yeah, no, 7's it's cutting off there. So even though I've chided Wendy before in a loving way about keep
Loving
going,
way?
I
Really?
totally get it now. It's different.
Yay!
Okay, so do as I say, not as I do.
That's
Is
the
that
one.
the scenario we're
Always.
looking at here?
Always.
Okay.
I want the
Just so I
t-shirt
know.
with that on there. I
Yeah.
want the t-shirt.
Okay.
So that felt really good, but I've definitely found my sweet spot in terms of I'm really comfortable. My word count is, I think I started at 15,000 and it's gone up to like 25, 27. So I have to cut that down when I'm editing to get it around the 20, 21,000 words to get in the 2-hour short reads category on Amazon.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting for me that I've had that issue. But I've learned a lot, and it feels really good, and it's very comfortable for me now to do that. And I can produce them, for me, relatively fast. I mean, when instead of years, it's taking weeks. So I'll
That's
take
good.
that.
Well done, you.
And
We're
I'm
very
not
proud
quite
of
sure
you.
where I'll go to next. I would really like to dip my toe in wider waters, in a wider pool. That won't be with this particular genre, because that's very much a KU kind of dominant. And also, while I was doing my little experiment, it was just easier for me to deal with that. But hopefully, I say this with everything crossed and I'm touching my wooden desk, life will be a little calmer in Q2. I know that's very dangerous to put out in the universe.
Positivity.
I would love to try out. It would be a new, different pen name. But I'm all about experimentation, and I would love to try something wide, just so I can experience that, with very low expectations. I think you hope for the best, but I don't want to say prepare for the worst, but anything is a bonus. But I'm getting read through across the series, and my income's increasing every month, and so it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and I can absolutely see a time when producing more content would mean I would be paying my bills with this, which is pretty good in 3 months. So
Yeah,
Nice.
for
I mean,
sure.
I'm
Well
not,
done, you.
just to clarify, I'm not at the moment, but the first month I could have bought us all a meal at McDonald's, and now we could,
Possibly go
McDonald's is
maybe
quite expensive
have
these
an
days.
upgrade, a bigger size. We could supersize it and
We could
possibly
size
even
up.
have a
Would you
dessert
like-
after.
Would you like fries with that?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, or maybe even a drink after at the bar. So
Nice.
that's
Well
where I'm
done,
at.
you. We're very proud of you.
Thank
Yes.
you. I'm very
Yes.
proud.
Exciting.
Honestly, I'm very proud of me too. So yeah.
Nice. Well done.
Deservedly so.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Okay, Wendy, what about you? What have you been working on?
Well, what have I been doing? So I'm getting into French translations. I have a full German series done now.
Voulez-vous for something
Voulez-vous
français? That's the one.
The German ones are going well. I've got what have I got in there? The Sinclair and Ravens or the Devils? I don't know. One of them's
That's
in there.
good. How
done.
many German
One-
translations would you have now? Quite a few.
Probably, I don't know, 8, 10, something like that.
Wow.
Anyway, that many, and I can't remember which series it is, and I should have been more onto it. So I've just started French translations. We've opened the store that's starting to really hum really well. We
It's a direct
reinvented
store. You're a direct store. Yeah.
Yeah, we reinvented TikTok for both my names. One's my name. My daughter does the historicals, Wendy, and I do Lani. And I've had a few viral TikToks that have gone quite well. It's a free marketing way of doing it. Yes, it's
Yeah.
time consuming, but I've got it down now so I can get it done within half an hour in the morning. So that's just a little extra something.
Could you just talk just very briefly on when you say you reinvented TikTok? Was it true that you were standing naked on top of Mount Maunganui?
No,
No,
that wasn't the case.
that was just a rumor.
So I went for consistency. So I opened 3 accounts, and in each 3 for the first 3 weeks I did different content.
Right.
When I found the one that took off, I then didn't use the other 2 because I just didn't have the bandwidth or time to do that. And now I keep it very consistent. I have X amount of slides. I have the music. I have the words, and that's all I do. I don't do anything different.
Nice. So there's none of this face to camera sort of dancing. None of that.
No, none of that. Carry on. I did see some kids down the road doing a TikTok last night, and I walked past and I did that, and they were quite happy, and they went, "Oh, it's a photo bomb in the background." So I don't know whether that'll pair, but it won't be on my feed. So the TikTok's going well. Do I see a spike if I get one that goes up to 22K or 30K or 14K? Yes, definitely see a few sales, but it's just the way I see it is it's sort of a blanket approach insofar as when someone sees my name continually. I've had people coming in and go, "Oh, I've seen this book a few times now. I'm going to download it." And that's like 7 times. So that's where I go with TikTok. As I say, French translations. I'm also just starting to get my special editions up, and I'm just started that. So I basically got the cover. We're going to print a book, see how it comes out, and then I'll get the edges done and stuff. But that's sort of a starting because we've got a romance author reader event in October, so we're just starting to get the ball rolling on those. So we're looking at getting one of those done first to see how they work. So that's a learning process because there's sizes and covers and
it is, right? And
Yeah.
even though, and like we had, Cal Carpenter on talking about them, we've had other authors on talking about them, but it is, I have to say, it is harder being not in the States, in New Zealand. Logistically, it's a lot harder.
It costs a lot more to bring them in from the UK and stuff like that. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. I've got one coming, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, just to see what it looks like, and then we can go from there, see if we like it, or not. So that's happening. I want to be able to start selling special editions on both my stores and translations and stuff. Just trying to broaden the scope a little bit so all my eggs are not in one basket.
Yeah.
And I've been changing the business tax structure as well because I was paying a lot of tax to a different sort of format. So that's been quite a slow process as well. So there's been a lot going on, and in there I have to write as well. So I have 2 books written, ready to be published, and one that I'm reworking. So originally, it's a bit of a mind thingy actually. I took my original traditional published book down and got the rights back, and I've been working it, and I'm just like, why did anyone ever read this? I don't know why anyone ever read this. It's the worst
because it's a good story, right?
Oh my God, there's 3 or 4 different voices on it in a chapter, and it's like so it's completely different to how I write now, but I can't change too much of the structure. It's just going to have to be more of a traditional romance. So I'm reworking that at the moment. So
that's really hard.
Oh, Trudi, it's so. I remember you telling me, and I think, what's she talking about? But I tell you what, it's harder than writing a book.
Yeah, I've heard that many times.
This book is 98,000 words.
Wow.
I have slashed so far 15 out, and I am only quarter of the way through. It is.
Isn't that interesting how, I mean, you're still the same person, but isn't it interesting how, as a writer, you've developed and changed, and
the flowy sort of prose and I'm just like shuddering. I'm just like, I hope no one read this.
But people did read it, Wendy.
Yeah, no, I get that. But what I'm saying,
we do get better, don't we?
No, I think I don't even know if it's an evolution, isn't it? As a writer, how so.
And also, to be fair, that was what, 15 years ago? No, not that long.
12,
you would have written it 13
like
years ago.
12. No, it was 14.
14, whatever.
14,
One of them.
yeah.
One of them. We'll go
Okay.
with one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
basically,
Zoe's
it's quite.
13, and I remember having her as a baby when we
Yeah,
first started
I was holding
being
her at our
together.
first
So
meeting. Yeah, so
yeah.
that would be that long.
But there's a lot of words under the
Mm.
feet, and since that since you wrote that book though,
I
Wendy,
think
like
also,
millions of words that
I
you've written
like
since then.
suspense. I like an element sometimes of paranormal. So I think reading something that is so straight and
Yes.
so, I'm just like,
Just
I'm just about half
romance.
asleep. Like Blake's, my husband's constantly saying, I can hear you sighing from here, mate. I was just like, I just am like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's I've got to release this month, and then one next month, and then this
So
one.
how far are you through your editing? Did you say you're only what you consider a quarter of the way through with it?
Yeah, it's going for an edit on the 31st this month, so it needs to be done. But yeah, I think I just like to scrap it and rewrite a book, but then you can't, because it's
No.
got 98,000 words that are just pure gold.
I want to say, because I've been rewriting an old book too recently, and I actually did this kind of, she calls it what does she call it? Like a boot camp with Maggie Stivator, and she was talking about how when she had to rewrite an old book, she would read the chapter and then she would rewrite the chapter, like same stuff happening, but just do it in her more her current voice and her current word choosing. So she's exactly the same stuff is happening. She's just reworking it that way. And in a lot of ways, I think they would be easier than trying to mold the words that are
that's
already there.
I'm actually reworking it a chapter at a time in Scrivener. So I'm just moving it across to Scrivener as I'm doing it.
Okay.
So I'm moving it, and some of my chapters are 5,000 words long.
Oh,
oh my gosh.
yeah.
So now some of them are only 900 words long because there's so much hair topping, but I don't care. It's just getting voices in the chapters that are, so I'm slashing and burning words, and but it's easier in Scrivener because I can see it
Yes.
rather than in Word, whereas I can't,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
I love
Hideous.
Scrivener. Oh, that sounds fun and exciting. All the things going on. Is that you done? Are you?
Oh, I could go on for hours, but I'm not going to say anything. Go Trudels.
Go Trudels.
How do you get stuff done in your day, Wendy? I just don't know. You've got Anyway,
It's a job,
so me, what I've been doing. So I am reworking the second book. I call it, or it was called Fire Mage 2 for a long time, but now it's called Silver Flame. So I have a title for it. And it is the second book in the Fire Mage series. And this is a book that I've been ignoring since I first published, because I had a book and it was 140,000 words long. And I was like, oh, that's too long. And what if I know, sneaky idea, hint for younger players, never do this. Sneaky idea, I'll just cut it in half and have 2 books and it'll be great. And then so I reworked the first book and then published it, and then just ignored the second half for years because I knew how hard it was to do the first book, so I didn't do the second book. And so that was fun. And then I've gotten to this point where I was like, right, I need to finish series, I need to finish stuff. So I made myself sit down and finish Dragon and Demon series of mine, and then this is the other one that I need to finish, so I'm like working on it, and it's been quite fun because I did this boot camp thing, but it was about 3 months with Maggie, and it was a whole group of people, like it's a group coaching kind of scenario, and that was really good because she talked about stuff like the job of a chapter and how to end a book and how to just all these things that are kind of like, so every time now, and it just makes me think about stuff more than I maybe did before. I would just be like writing the story and I'd be like, oh, this seems like a good place to end, and often it was, but but it wasn't really, it was more intuitive than thoughtful, if that makes sense. And so
I
she's
think that's the case for a lot of us. Like I've never, what is the job of a chapter?
Part of it was like, okay, it's not a universal job per se, but it's like, in this chapter, I want the reader to find out this piece of information. Like, and it might just be one piece of information, and it's hung on like a whole other scene that something's happening, but you just have to kind of know what it is that you're trying, or it might be, how do I want the reader to be feeling in this chapter? Like, what is the feeling that they need to have? And then just go through that chapter and make sure that that's what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so you just kind of going through anyway. So it was all that, and then she worked with me on the ending actually of the previous book. So I made a few little sneaky changes that I uploaded again. Yay, self-publishing, and and then we redid the cover for Fire Mage. So I've put that up again. There was just one moment, caller. I'm just going to find it.
Talk amongst yourselves. She's just walking back into
Okay.
the room.
So
Hey,
this is the new
nice.
cover. We just got the book the other day.
They look so
Great.
good in
Yeah.
print. Look
So
at that.
good.
Yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with that. We yeah, I love that cover, and we're just currently working on the second cover for Silver Flame, and yeah, so there's lots going on there, and I'm just enjoying the process and actually talking the same kind of things that Wendy was talking about. Like I'm going through this process of like, and I'll get a chapter and I'll be like, right, so this is dumb, and what was I thinking, and you know, like trying to, and then sometimes and because of Scrivener, this is what I love about Scrivener, and I don't know if Word can do it, maybe it can, I just don't know about it, but being able to cut a whole block of text, and I can just put it in the notes bit next to the on the side of the chapter, and then I can like, and sometimes I'll be like, well, actually this is important information, but it doesn't go here, and sometimes I'll take it and I'll put it in the note section of the next chapter. So it's not in the chapter,
I've
but
been
it's
dragging
just,
folders down to the bottom, and I've got like all these folders that have just had a whole chapter in them that I don't need, just in case I might need it.
right.
Don't
Like I
throw
don't want to
anything away.
delete it. I don't want to delete
Yeah, I don't want to
it,
delete
but
it,
it's
but I want it out of my word count.
Yes.
You want it out of there, and you want it out of the text actually, just to see if it can
If
flow
it flows
without
without it, because if
Yeah.
it does, then it was
Often it-
superfluous, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
often
mean,
it
all
does
this
flow without it.
chatty stuff, I don't know what I was thinking about,
I
you know, like flowers and trees and
Yeah.
I mean, come
You're
on,
setting
people.
the scene, Wendy. That's
Was
what
that
you're
what it
doing.
is? All
Yeah.
right.
And I think historical lends itself to that, really.
Yeah.
Within reason. Within reason.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they thought it was good enough to purchase and publish Wendy. I think let's let
Exactly.
them go with that.
We're talking random house here, dude. So like, I mean, I know that you're your own worst critic. You know, you're very
we
tough
all-
on
we all
yourself,
are.
but
We all
you
are.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Trudels,
Anyway,
carry
so-
on
That's
with your
awesome.
No,
And so
and-
when do you think Silver Flame will be up? When's your goal to have that published?
Oh, it was February.
Mhm.
No.
So
No, so I'm just chilling with that. Like, I mean, I'm not chilling, but like I get up every morning at 6:30. I write for at least an hour, if not more, if I can manage it. Well, I have to go and organize children to get to school, and then I come back and write some more. So I'm doing that every day, like including the weekends. I just get up early and write because it's consistently working through it. It's going really well. I'm about halfway through the second act, so I'm not, but I don't want to rush it, and I don't want to, like, I kind of feel like I've made some really cool big changes to this, and it's something that I was afraid to do for a long time. So I don't want it to be a positive, awesome process. So I'm just kind of working hard, diligently at it, but without a deadline to freak me out, because I know if I have a deadline, I mean, deadlines have always worked for me. Don't get me wrong, like deadlines are awesome, but I know what I'm like with a deadline. I'll like stop working on something and just do it at the end, like, and I'll do it in one big flurry. And I just don't know if that's the best thing for this particular book anyway. Like, if writing a first draft, I'm better off blurting it all out and getting it all out and just getting it onto the page, and I could do that in a big flurry. But what I'm doing here is something that needs kind of more deliberate action, and I feel like rushing it is not the right thing. So anyway, so it's just I'm just doing that.
Nice.
And then I've been doing, so I had a one-on-one session with Erin Wright, who does the Wide for the Wind stuff, in January, and she gave me some tips of things that I need to do. So one of them was, she said that my name on the covers was too small, and so we redesigned. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it's backwards, but you can see it as we kind of redesigned a little bit of my name to make it bigger and kind of slightly more distinctive. We were trying for the Nike swoosh. Just something that would be a little bit more
looks
memorable.
really good.
Yeah, well, I quite like it. It's just a bit more memorable, but it's not just my name across the top. So basically we had to go through and redo every single cover. And it's not, I mean, at least it's not 60 books like Wendy and Cheryl, but it was 20. And that was a lot. And I've had to do it on all the platforms wide. So actually that has been a really awesome process for me. I'm still working on it, to be fair, but I've just done all of the Dragon books on every single platform. So Amazon, Kobo, Draft2Digital, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And I went through and checked all the, I checked all the categories and keywords. I changed categories on several of the platforms just because I had done things that I don't necessarily agree with now on some of the categories and things like that. So it was a really interesting process to go through. I felt it familiarized me with all of the different platforms. And for example, the last 2 months, because one of the other things that Erin said is talk to me through how to apply for promos via Kobo and Barnes & Noble. So I've been trying to do those kinds of things, like more regularly apply for regular promos and stuff. And so just being more familiar with all the variety of platforms wide has just made me feel more comfortable about doing those kinds of things. So that's been really awesome, and just making those changes. So I've been really, and so for example, I discovered a few little mistakes that I'd made. So I had the overdrive box ticked on Kobo as well as Draft to Digital. So don't do that, people.
No.
So and one of the tips that Erin had gave years ago was like, you've got to choose between which one of those platforms, and the reporting is apparently better on Draft to Digital. But if you've already got it on Kobo, don't just unclick it in Kobo and switch to Draft to Digital, because that causes all sorts of headaches. So if it's already on Kobo, leave it on Kobo. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to go and unclick it through, or have been unclicking it through Draft to Digital as I get through each book. So hopefully that's the right thing to do. We'll see. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that I've been fighting with Draft to Digital about print books, and because it was saying there's already so mostly what people do for wide with print books is that they'll put one ISBN on Barnes & Noble and a different ISBN on Draft to Digital, and that never made sense to me, because it's like it's a counting system, right? Like it's a system where you are, so what's the point of having a different ISBN? Like it's just, and it turns out what Erin explained to me is that both of those platforms just send it straight to Ingram Spark or Ingram, and that's where the problem comes. So they don't actually. So Ingram already has my books loaded into Barnes & Noble, and so Draft to Digital tried to put those books up. They're already associated with Barnes & Noble, and so Draft to Digital can't or won't put them up. So you have to kind of, so that's been a process figuring out how to
So
work
what's
that.
the solution to that one?
So the suggested solution is that you take it off Barnes & Noble and you put it through Draft to Digital, because Barnes & Noble will only use Ingram Spark to put it on Barnes & Noble, is my understanding. But Draft to Digital will use Ingram Spark to put it on Barnes & Noble and all of the other platforms.
Right.
So that's your ideal scenario. Don't do print direct to Barnes & Noble. Do it through Draft to Digital. So I don't know.
There's a tip.
There's a tip for younger players. So, and that's something, I mean, I had no idea. I just was trying to, and looking online, that's people were using 2 ISBNs, and never made sense, but that's what the advice was. And it was only when I sat down with Erin and she kind of explained how it worked, and I went, so go right to the source, make sure that you're getting the right information, people.
Yeah, it's a very good Facebook group, and Erin is, and we've obviously had her on the podcast. So
yeah, definitely. And I would recommend a one-on-one session. It's well worth it, just because she's looking specifically at your books and can give you tips. So if it's something that you can afford or save up for or whatever, I would totally recommend that. It just helped a lot with just those little things, like and even the courses. Like I've done courses on Google Play, and there's just little tips about how to set things up that I wouldn't have known otherwise. I would have just blundered my way through and just bunged things up. And there's just better ways to do certain things that so that was really cool. So that's kind of me. I've been trying to do wide stuff and write FireMage and and trying to do more promos. Actually, I've done proper actual promo through written word media. I'm doing it the kind of lazy way, where it used to be you had to approach all the different places and go, and so written word media now has this promo where they can get you in Reader News Today, Books Barbarian, all the different ones, and you just pay them and do it through them, and then they organize all the rest of it, which is way easier. So I've just been doing that once a month. So that's me.
Nice. Well done, you.
It's definitely more wide, but for a lot of people it's less stress in the long run, because you've got, as Wendy said, you're spreading your eggs across different baskets.
I really like it. Like I was worried that it would be a lot of work, and I guess it is changing this cover, but I'm just enjoying using all the different platforms and seeing how they work and kind of figuring it out and seeing, like surprisingly, like, and there's that real fear, because people go, half my income comes from KU. Well, actually I earn just, like you either have it half from KU or you go to the other platforms and you'll earn just as much. Do you know what I mean? Like I
I
haven't
don't
found
know.
like
It
I don't
might
know
take a
about that,
while.
to be
Might take
honest.
a while
Like
to
I don't
build it
think
up again.
see,
I
I
thought
think
about
those
it
guys
with
don't
Wendy,
agree.
but
But that's what I
no,
found for me.
yeah,
So
I don't. I think for some genres, KU really
Yeah.
works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
Others not so much, you know.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just my take.
And but I think the lesson here for all of it, for everybody listening, like we've been doing this a long time. We've been talking to,
Mm.
experts and best-selling authors for a long time, and we're still kind of like making mistakes or not knowing it. Like we're
Or
all in a
trying different.
learning state, right?
Yeah.
All of us
Yeah.
are. So don't ever feel that you're behind the eight ball or that you're not smart enough to do it, or like none of us are doing publishing perfectly.
No,
So
Yeah.
no.
Oh, hell
Only
no.
so many
and
hours in a day.
exactly,
You
and
can't do
and
everything and you can't know everything
No.
because there is
sometimes
so
my brain
much.
takes in things, and sometimes you might
But
as well
that,
be talking to a pigeon,
I think
But
you've got to
sometimes you
be,
have to hear it half a dozen times, right? And then,
and you've got to
and
be
things
careful of
change.
overload. You've got to
Things
be real
change.
careful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
number of times I've heard something and I've gone back to either these guys or other friends and said, "Oh my God, I just learned this new thing and you do this, and this," and they're like, "Trudy, I told you that like last year. Like, what are you on?" And I'm
True
like,
story.
"Oh, oh right, okay, sorry, my
Yeah.
bad.
But
Mustn't
I
have been
think
listening
all of
that
us,
time."
every
Yeah,
single
yeah,
one of us is
yeah.
overloaded with information, not just on publishing, but just on everything. And there's only so much a brain can take in at one time,
Well,
like, and
that's what
retain
I've
it.
had to, that's what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like as I bought a course on doing direct sales that I was supposed to do in January, and I just didn't touch it
I'm
because I
shocked.
couldn't.
I'm shocked you
I
bought
know,
that
right?
course,
I
Oh,
know.
you
Trudy.
bought a
No, but
course? What the heck?
I know, right? No, but I was like, and I had to kind of really work on myself going, it's okay that I didn't touch it. Okay that I thought that I would have time and I know that I now don't have time. And just go, I can do it later though, because it's one of those ones that's
Yeah, that's
recorded
it.
and there's the
Yeah, it's
information still
never
there
going to
and it's
go
not going to
away.
go away and it's going to be fine. But just to get the stuff done that I
Yeah.
wanted to do, I just have to ignore the stuff that I can't do at the moment and just be really, really happy and excited about the stuff that I am doing and
Yeah.
knowing that
Yeah.
I'll
That's
get to it
huge.
in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you got to pick a lane.
Yeah.
Seriously, you do. And get to the end of that lane before you step into another one. Because I'm exactly like you, and that's why I don't do everything, because if I see something new, I'm like, oh, bright, shiny object, we need to try this. And it's just you got to finish and tick, that's done, then I can move on.
Yeah. For your own
It's like a
sanity.
treat. It's like a treat almost,
Yeah.
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 Oh, and I've been thinking up a new story.
It's good.
It's been fun.
That's
Good on you.
So a new series
Excellent.
that I'm going to start on. Anyway, but that's Okay, is that everyone? We've done everyone now, haven't we?
I think we have.
Think
So
so.
the next question or topic is what we still plan to do in 2025. So are there any big plans for this year that you kind of have in mind? Yeah. So should we just go around the same way again, Cheryl?
Sure.
Sure. So a couple of things. Like Wendy, I've gone into translations, and I actually booked in a German translator who is doing my midlife potion series, paranormal cozies, and that's book 1 to book 5, even though book 5 isn't actually out yet. She's going to do all that. It's just about ready. It's going to the editor soon. So she's already given me back 2, and I've already put them up, and I made my own covers. Hopefully Shar's going to make me better ones in the future. But you know what? I got such a sense of pride out of making sure it happened, because I was like, oh no, maybe I'll just wait for all the books. What do I do? And I've done nothing. I've done no promotion for it at all, which maybe is kind of crazy, but I just felt I wanted a couple up, or at least 2, maybe 3 up before I actually start advertising them. But I also went into French translations, and I have a friend's son who speaks French fluently, and he's my proofreader. So I was actually able to employ, somebody that I know he's a student, so at uni and there. And I felt so good about that. The whole process of it has been, it's a little time consuming, but it's actually felt really good as well, because I do not speak German and I speak very little French. So you are flying blind, even if you look at something, you think, oh, that's not quite right. Just going in and being able to Google translate it and go, actually, they have got that right. It does sound right. It sounds ridiculous to me, but it does sound right. It's just different, different words going to different ways. So that's been huge. And I'm really excited to see how they go. I have put mine into KDP, Kindle Unlimited, because it's too much for me to put them wide. And even just putting them on my store, I haven't put the paperbacks on my store yet either. So yeah, I'm waiting to see how they go. It's very new. It's only just been in the last week or two that I've got 2 German up and 1 French.
Awesome.
And I'm also looking at better ways of streamlining my business. And Wendy's recommended the Author Helper, which does a whole lot of things that currently I'm doing via individual spreadsheets. And I knew there was a better way. I've tried other things. I think I did try Book Report back in the day, which I think used to be the Author Helper. But I didn't have the bandwidth to get into it. But now my husband's helping me on the financial side. I think this is a perfect time. So yeah, I think lots of things like this are all about timing, like where you are in your author career. And if you can afford to go into those kinds of things. And yeah, as I say, right now seems a very good time for me. So happy, happy, happy.
Awesome.
Nice work, buddy.
That's really good. Awesome. Okay. Lots of stuff that I can talk about in a minute about that. So who was next? It was Shar, wasn't it?
Shar.
Oh yeah. So I'm just going to keep going. And I would like to do my wide experiment, and I'm going to write 3 books first. I'm going to do that, hold them back, which is, it's just so hard, but so hard. But I'm going to do that, and I like doing these experiments, and I will share the results. So stay tuned, particularly if you're in our Facebook, our Mastermind Facebook group. You can join that through spagirlspodcast.com/Patreon. But yeah, I'm all about sharing. I'm not sharing my pen names at the moment because I want to keep everything clean, as in not that I think there would be many drive-by purchases, but I need to keep the data pure. And also just to give myself a little protection, because I still have a real fear of not outing myself is not the right thing, because I mean I've been on here for 10 years, but I don't know, I just the thought of people
Actually reading
over
your
my
books.
shoulder, yeah, and I know they are, I know they are, but I have to kind of squeeze my eyes shut when I go into KDP, and I can see, you see the sales and things like that, and it freaks me out, so I quickly click out again. It's just that I'm not there yet, so that's okay.
She's our special little flower.
She is.
I like to hide my flowerness under a very large rock, so I'm staying under my rock at the moment. But yeah, so that's just keep going, keep with experimenting, keep writing, and I'm not at just to clarify what Cheryl was talking about, it's also, I've heard it called the Author Helper Suite as well, and I just looked it up. It's the authorhelper.com if you're wondering about that. That's a wonderful way of keeping track of everything, sales, advertising, spend, the whole work, all of that stuff. Well, I'm doing the poor man's version of that with thanks to some assistance from Cheryl with her Excel spreadsheets. So that's what I'm doing.
They work, right? So, yeah.
Hey.
And that was a cool thing, because Shar said, how do you guys keep track of sales? And she was like, here you go.
Here you go.
Just use mine.
And again, the crazy thing is, I mean, I used to work for Wendy, and I used to keep track of her like different things, and we're looking at advertising, but it has changed a little bit in terms of what information you can get from Amazon now and things like that, and also what you can get. Not that I'm not doing any paid advertising, so that's easy, but at some point I will be. And
isn't it funny though? It's also when it's about your own stuff. Like there's something so much easier to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do for someone else.
So much easier because you're just reading numbers. You're not reading the blood, sweat, and tears behind.
Hopes and dreams.
No, you're not. It's so much easier doing it for other people. Like, and it's the
really
same with
is.
blurb writing, right? It's the
Yeah.
same thing. You
Oh,
haven't got that
yeah.
emotional
Blurbs,
hook
everything.
that
Yeah.
when you've produced the book and somebody's saying, yeah, you don't need all that. And you think,
Yeah.
Let me
It's every single
know.
word.
I need every single word.
but
Yeah.
how will they know that that is a,
Yeah,
you know, centaur and not a, you
yeah.
know, I don't know, wild horse?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome.
Well,
And on
so
that
moving on
note,
from
Wendy.
centaurs and wild horses, I'm going to continue with translations. I continue writing, and also my first book with Dragonblade, because I signed a contract with Dragonblade
Blade.
Publishing for 3 books. Comes out in July, I think. So I've got 2 more to write up for them this year. So that comes out in July. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm
Going to be
excited.
interesting to
So
see how
July,
that
I have to
goes.
put that in my
Yeah,
diary.
you do that.
Are you
So
going to do
yeah,
much promotion, or are you just leaving it all
oh,
to
I'll
them?
just carry. Yeah, no, I mean they're going to do the promotion, but I will too. I mean
Yeah,
that would be
yeah.
silly not to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that comes out. So that'll be interesting. And then just keep going with foreign translations, and everything like that, really. I mean, I think you're all, like we said, we're always fine-tuning. So if TikTok is working at the moment, I'll keep going with that. If it's not, I'll switch to something else. I think at the moment and I don't think that ever changes, that you're always just trying.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like someone said to me the other day, oh, what a shame historical romance is dying. And I'm just like,
And that's
They've
where
been
you make a
saying that
living.
as long as I've been reading it, like for the last 40 years,
I
people have
mean,
been saying it.
I'm sure, you know, like things swing and roundabouts,
Ups
but
and
I mean,
downs.
yeah, you
Same
know,
thing with paranormal romance, you know, or I mean, listen, if we had have used the term romantasy 5 years ago, nobody would
you would
have
have been slapped.
Laughed
like,
out of the
what?
room.
You
right?
know?
Yeah.
But it's been
I
around
mean,
for a long time. It just wasn't
exactly.
called
Yes, it has.
romantasy.
It's
Yeah.
just a
It's a
name.
name. It's a
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's business as usual. I've got a lot of personal stuff going on as well, that I'm hoping will get us some sort of a resolution this year, and that'll make my life a little bit easier. But yeah, I mean, I'm still enjoying my writing. It's a good escape and stuff. And I've got a new series I've been formatting too in my head, so yeah, there we go. That's me.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, it's exciting. There's lots of exciting things happening, you guys. So
Yeah. What about you, Trudell?
Okay, so my one is I've got a new series that has been percolating around in my head. I'm going for a cozy fantasy feel for this one.
Nice.
Is kind of where I've decided is my landing point. Just at the minute, we'll see how that goes, whether it might just turn back into an urban fantasy or whether it stays cozy. I don't know what difference is quite, but yeah, well, that's quite fun, and I'm kind of excited about it. You know, like this is my favorite stage, is like the figuring out all the weird creatures and what's the storyline and all my hands are wiggling around. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm going to stop that, try and hold them down here. It's going to be hard. And yeah, so that's kind of be cool. I'm excited about doing that one. And I have been, well, okay, so I've done it for 2 months now, but the regular promo thing, so I'm going to try and keep doing that, make sure that I'm doing a different series every month, and just making sure that's happening. One of the things I have been doing that's making that easier has been doing, I forgot to mention earlier, is a thing called a money date. And this is something I got from Heather Hildebrand, and she talks about, one of the things she talked about at Romance Author Mastermind was writing a letter to money as if it's your boyfriend, and kind of saying, like, looking at how you treat money and then thinking of it as if money was a boyfriend. And what I kind of realized when I did that was, actually, I think I kind of have been ignoring money, and how does a person treat you when you've been ignoring them? Well, they're not going to like you, are they? So they're not going to come to you, and they're not going to want to spend time with you. So you have to kind of not ignore them, as the case may be. So I am trying to not ignore money. So I've been doing weekly money dates. So every Monday morning for like just half an hour or so, like not a big thing. Maybe I should spend longer having my money date. I don't know. But it's just sitting down, going through every single platform, looking at how much money I've made that week, like not, and I'm not looking too closely and analytically or whatever, but just to have an idea. I've been going through the bank accounts and my personal as well as my business, just making sure that I know how much is in each account, making sure that I top up certain accounts if they need it, and often in the past I'd just been winging it and I'd go and buy something going like, well, geez, I hope there's enough money in the credit card. Wouldn't it suck if it was declined? And now I know exactly how much is on the credit card, and I know because I'm doing it every week. So just little changes like that, which is actually uh, previously it sounded like a drag and it was annoying, but actually knowing how it used to make me feel not to know
Mm.
is actually it's such a relief to know and
Yeah.
I
to
think
be
it's
confident
freeing.
and to be
Yeah.
and it's really
Yeah.
silly that I didn't want to do that, but I guess I was always just a
I
little
think
bit
it's human
afraid.
nature, though. I don't think you should be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it comes from like student days when I had no money
Mm.
and I was always just hoping, and even if I'd looked, there would have
Mm.
been no more money, so it wouldn't have made any difference, and so I would have still been worried about it. But now I kind of have the money, so I don't need to worry about it as much, but I still was worrying about it, I think. Anyway, so money dates have been really awesome. I've been doing them for sort of a couple of months and I've been really enjoying that. So I recommend it if that's something that you have issues with.
And you can listen to Heather on the Spa Girls podcast
Yes.
as well, which will be released.
She's amazing.
Yes, and
She is
yeah,
actually. She's lovely too.
she's awesome. Yeah, I really like Heather, and she has some great ideas. And I did you won't be surprised to know that I did her course.
Shocking. Shocking.
Man, that
Tell
is
us
such
more.
a surprise.
Her
Oh my
3-month
gosh.
course on money.
I
Knock
don't
me
know
down
how
with a
you
feather.
didn't do Heather's course, Maggie's Vader, and the other course that you bought on direct sales as well, Trudi. Like, what the
Yeah,
heck?
yeah. The
What have you
direct
been
sales
doing
might
these
have
last
been
3 months,
it
mate?
might have been a bridge too far because I did do them all at the same time. But I did Maggie and Heather at the same time, those two courses, and that was fine.
Different things though, right? One was craft and one was mindset. So
Yeah.
I did read Heather's book, which I enjoyed.
I
Yeah.
like her book. Yeah.
Yeah. She's got a very practical,
Mhm.
She
she's
just
sort of,
released a book today, I think.
oh, did she
Actually,
actually?
another
Like
book.
another
Yeah.
Well, a
non-fiction?
fiction book or
A fiction book.
self-help book?
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's
Self-help.
always releasing
Sorry,
fiction.
non-fiction. Yeah,
Non-fiction.
Non-fiction. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, so go buy that if anyone's listening to this. Because I'm sure it'll be amazing. So yeah, that's the regular price promos, money dates. Direct sales is something I'd like to do later in the year. I just try not to overload myself.
Yeah.
Because I know that if I overload myself, I will stop doing anything. And the other thing I think is what I do is I try and do lots of little bit of a lot of things, and I never finish anything. So that's just what I'm focusing on, is just trying to keep my projects small or my projects focused and just get to the end of a project before starting the next one. And that's just my main goal for this year. And I'm sure there's 100 other things that I probably
It's a
want
good
to
goal,
do,
though.
but
It's a good goal.
yeah.
It's been a busy wee year thus far.
And we've got
has.
Swiss exchange students, so we've had to do all this touristy stuff on the weekends. So
Which is
you know,
fun.
which has
Seeing
been
your
fun.
country through somebody else's eyes
Yeah,
is
it
a cool
is
thing,
actually.
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
We're doing all sorts of stuff. We went to Waitomo Caves, if anyone comes to New Zealand, last weekend, and they've got a new cave. It's not just the boat ride. There's a whole nother cave that I didn't even know about. It's been there for 20
Wow.
years.
These are
Did you-
glowworm caves, by the
I was
way.
going to
yeah,
say,
glowworm.
were
Yeah,
all
for
the
those of
glowworms
you
turned
who
on
don't
when
know
you went
what
in there,
she's
as it
talking
were?
about.
Yeah. So there's the first cave, which is all about the glowworms, and then the second cave is actually about going down into the cave, and there's all the stalactites and stalagmites and all the different types of
A
formations and
tourist
structures.
attraction in New Zealand that
Yeah,
is worthy
tourist.
of looking at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Anyway, sorry, I should get off that track.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me, I think. I mean, there'll be more stuff probably, but let's
But I reckon we'll do another one of these at
later
halfway.
on.
You know?
Halfway, yeah.
Just to see where we're at.
definitely.
Just
And
if
if
it's
you-
interesting to people, I think it's
Yeah,
good
if
to
you've got
know.
any comments on what else you'd like us to talk about with us, within reason, of course,
Yeah.
Let us know.
let
So
us
there
know.
is
Pop
there
it in
is
the
one
comments.
little more tip onto this that I want to add, because we've got a third question. I don't know how we're going for time. I haven't actually kept track.
Well over an hour
we're
now.
pretty
So,
there, yeah.
Are we over an hour?
No, I think
Seriously?
I think we're on it now.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I won't
Yeah.
ask the question then. Maybe I'll
Maybe
ask it.
next time we can
Maybe
talk
next
about that
time.
next
Okay.
time.
Well, we have
Yeah.
given lots of good information, I feel, this
We
week. So
have.
I think we're okay with that. So should we end it there then, fellow?
I
Yeah,
think we
yeah,
should.
why
And I
not?
think if you would like us to answer your questions, then the
Yeah.
best place to find us is in our Spa Girls Mastermind group,
Mhm.
which is, so as we've mentioned previously, we've cut out on the coaching just because of our lives currently.
Mhm.
And so, but we're there happy to to help you out in any way, and you can ask your questions and get help from the other group members there. And that is at the $10 a month tier, which is probably the cheapest coaching you will find on the planet, just saying. And we can be found at spagirlspodcast.com. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, we'd really appreciate you subscribing. Our numbers are looking awesome every month, and so we really appreciate you being here.
Alrighty,
Absolutely.
thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening to another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. We'll be back again next week, but for now, farewell.
Bye.
Keep well.